So I've been working with Claude, and up until maybe 2 days back, I was working with Claude with MPC, and now though I've upped the ante from with OSC. I'll just briefly show you how this all embeds inside of Ableton. And there's a reason that I'm doing this today, because I'm not going to be talking with Claude as in dictating through the additional microphone, which is this microphone here, USB microphone. This one here, which is the Apollo microphone, that doesn't integrate into, because of the Mac system, it doesn't integrate into Claude so that I can dictate to Claude, beyond which it's a lot easier for me at the moment to type. And that's really, you actually don't need to see anymore if you're really interested in this kind of thing of controlling Ableton with Claude. Don't really need to see the voice side of things, just because of the way that I'm working at the moment. Okay, so I've opened up settings, and clearly I've gone to tempo and MIDI, and you can see my fifth and sixth slots. This is a problem, and I wish Ableton would work on this. I've only got 6 slots, but I desperately need at other times in a session to work with Touchable Pro, I believe it is. Yeah, Touchable Pro, which should be somewhere down here, Touchable. I really need that for when I'm working remotely at the drum kit, which you can't see what's behind me. Unfortunately, there are only 6 slots, and of course I've got Custom Machiner, which is the Machiner MK3. I've got Mackie Control, which is the Mackie Control Pro. Push 2, of course, which is this little fella here. You can see that. Master Control for MVAVE, a beautiful little budget price remote controller that has a script that enables one of the great pluses when working with Ableton, and without it, it makes Ableton a buzzkill. With it, it makes Ableton just so much more streamlined. I'll talk about that in just a moment. And of course, I need MCP, but I now need OSC as well for Claude to go further into what it can actually do with Ableton. Anyway, gripe over with the 6 slots. I wish there were 8 or more. There are not. So that's how they live. And they, of course, once they're selected, input is none, output is none. Bang, and we're already connected. Now, I'm going to briefly go back through a message bank with me and Claude, because Claude and I are working on this particular track. You can see it's called Barry Returns to Kilimanjaro. That's the name of the song. And you can see this is not super important just yet. You can see the back and forward between what Claude and I are doing. One little exchange that took place is, can you change bass clip slot index 2 to bass pre-chorus? Done. Slot 3, index 2, become very clear in just a moment. On the bass track is now bass pre-chorus. Now over 8 bars, can we build drums to match bass index 2 drums also to be index 2 on drum track with a defined fill on bar 8 before you create drums? Can you see the kit that I'm using? It's titled Chicago Kit. It's an Ableton kit. I'll quickly whiz over to Session View, and Claude only works in Session View. It does not work with the arrangement. Anything that you see or that I talk about today to do with arrangement, it's all handled inside of Session View, and pretty much handled by scenes. It took a little while for me and Claude to get on the same page, but all the scenes it's kind of intuitive. The scenes match what you're ultimately going to put into the arrangement view. Spoiler alert, Studio Pro from Fender does a much better version of this whole idea of session and arrangement in their with their clips, that you can actually transfer your clips directly into your arrangement. I wish Ableton would do that. They've only had 20 years to get it on, and they haven't yet got it on. I do not know why. Okay, now, so Chicago Kit, and then Claude gets back to me and says, let me check what's in the Chicago kit to understand the drum mapping. I can't read. Now, this is with MCP. Did I get that right? We'll quickly check. Sorry, because I sometimes get this wrong. Go to settings really briefly. Yeah, MCP, I did get it right. MCP allows a superficial level of control by Claude on Ableton. Simple stuff like changing clip names, etc. It can start and stop clips. It can start and stop the project. Simple things like that. OSC allows it to go a little further and to actually infer from information that you've already got. But it can't do it from audio. It can only do it from MIDI. And to me, that's a real plus because you have to play it. You know, it's not just, it will generate MIDI later on if you want it to, if that's what your goal is. And in this case, yes, my goal is that. But it can only work from what you supply to it, either through MIDI clips or through an exchange back and forth where you describe what it is that you want Claude to do. So Claude has got back to me on this idea of, can you see what is in the Chicago kit? I can't read inside the Chicago kit drum rack directly to see the pad mappings. Can you quickly tell me the MIDI note assignments for the key drums, specifically kick, snare, hi-hat, closed, hi-hat, open, any toms? Now, I've gotten back to say, yeah, of course, yeah, kick a C1, snare D1, hi-hat closed, F-sharp 1, blah, blah, blah. I've also gone percussion, G-sharp 1, very nice African vibe. This song that we're working on has a kind of an African vibe to it, although it's not specifically an African piece of music. A very nice African vibe, but very, 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 very sparing, perhaps only in the vamp, and then ride B1. Perfect, that's great kit mapping and noted on the electric percussion. Extremely sparing. So Claude has been able to, it can't really tell what I've got. I have to tell it what's there. But once I tell it what's there, it can then go ahead and build whatever it is that I'm looking for. So now building 8 bars, building from the verse feel. So then it explains to me, done drums, pre-chorus, and index 2. Here's the arc and the breakdown, the architecture. Here's the breakdown. Now, I'll very quickly whiz over. We can see done drums, pre-chorus at index 2. Now, here's drums, the Chicago kit. Here's drums pre-chorus, which it is named. Either it has already come up with that name or I've specifically asked it to come up with that name. Can go either way. Once it realizes what's going on, Claude will then react. If I'm asking for a drum kit for a drum break for a chorus, it will, and there's no other mention of any other section, it will know that it's chorus and it will label it drums chorus. So index 2 is kind of interesting. So the way this works, index 0 is the first slot, index 1 is the second, index 2 is the third clip slot. Takes a little while to get used to, but once you get used to it, it works comfortably. And it's telling me what it's done on the drums. We can open that up. Drums pre-chorus we're looking at. Bang, open it up. And this is what it's doing. It's telling me bars 1 and 2, so 1 and 2, kick and closed hi-hat snare on B3, continuation from the verse, slightly more committed, bars 3 and 4, blah, blah, blah. You can see what it's doing. The ascending bass line and the ride are pulling in the same direction. So, of course, it's now listening to, quote unquote, it's listening to, or inverted commas, sorry, it's listening to other MIDI data that I've directed it towards, or that it has actually requested information on, so that it can work on this drum beat. Bars 5 to 7, ride steady, kick and snare, blah blah blah. Velocities climbing steadily through each bar. This is exactly what I wanted. Bar 8, the fill, which I asked for, kick and snare and quick alternation, beats 1, blah 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 blah. Then I've gotten back to it. So we created an 8-bar fill. And if you look at this, this is only a 4-bar fill. And the reason it's 4 bars is because, my mistake, the pre-chorus is only the 4 bars in length, not 8, rising over the A-flat, B-flat, C minor cadence. A-flat 1 bar, B-flat 1 bar, C minor 2 bars. So I think Claude would have already known that, but I re-emphasized just to make sure that there's clarity as I'm backing and forwarding with Claude. You know, it just saves time. It's a bit like working with absolutely, it's like working with somebody in the room. It's like working, it's a little bit, what's the word? Perhaps narcissistic, because you're in command of, to some extent, you're in command of that person that you're liaising with. It's like having the perfect studio partner who's compliant with just about everything you do. Wouldn't that be wonderful? On the one hand, it wouldn't be a pain in the butt on the other hand, because you're not really pushing yourself to greater levels and greater creativity. To some extent, I believe, in fact, I'm positive that working with Claude in this way is pushing me to a greater level of creativity, because it's challenging me to come up with better ideas. And when you see some of the breakdown that it comes up with, it goes beyond my level, and I have to play catch up to work out what Claude's talking about so that I can then respond to that. And that response is actually fueling my creative energy to go to a higher level, which is what we want when we're trying to put together a song. All right, so got it. It now understands it's got it 4 bars, 16 beats, A flat, B flat, C minor, blah, blah, blah. And then it says done. Now, when it's done, and you'll see this in just a moment, you'll see the clip is inserted into whichever slot that we're looking for, be it index 3, for example, or index 4, index 5, meaning clip slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's inserted it in, and it's explaining what it's done. Pretty much we went through that before, over 8 bars. Now it's over 4 bars. My response, excellent, and can now place the conga pre-chorus. And given that the fill is kind of square, because the drum fill that Claude came up with didn't necessarily please me off the bat, but then I sort of figured, well, I don't want to change it. Ultimately, I probably will be playing drums myself on this song. I may not. I don't know yet. But given the fill is kind of square in the drum track, can the conga fill the spaces to imply the build even further? I love this exchange here. Exactly the right instinct. The conga weaving into the spaces the drums leave, the two bills interlocking rather than doubling. Typically, AI response, it's never really going to be critical of what one is doing. You have to work around that to make sure that you can make it critical, and that, again, you can push that, raise the level of consciousness and creativity, blah, 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 rather than having just a straight up yes man, yes man, yes man kind of thing. So now building the conga, filling the drum gaps, all the same things as we just looked at before, done, blah, 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 blah. Velocities, all that kind of stuff. My response, we're killing it. I'm on break now for the next 4 hours while I take advantage of the sun and concreting. I'll be back. This is pure bullshit, but you're in the flow kind of a thing. Doesn't worry me that I'm talking. I could be talking to anybody. I could be in a remote recording session talking to another person. So I will, carry on a little bit. I'll be back later for us to continue. If you look at the project now, can you see where we're building scene section by scene section? Scene clip, index 0, intro, index 1, verse, index 2, pre-chorus. It understands that, and yes, the scene architecture is taking beautiful shape, and then blah, 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 blah. Now, that's where we've gotten to, and I'm returning to the piece of music. Now, in the first instance, I want to go back to the arrangement just to start with, and you can see that I'd gotten to, the last that I was working on with Claude was the pre-chorus. Now, this goes back to what I said before. The pre-chorus has the chord structure of, what was it, A flat, B flat, to a C minor. Nothing revolutionary about that, that's for sure. And it's played amazingly poorly by yours truly here as I play it now. Has to be has to be. That's close to being the most god-awful guitar, but I just don't care because I'm putting the song together. I'm not in, this is not performance at this stage. Played really poorly. Claude cannot work from that. Claude needs MIDI. So what have I got to do in Ableton? I have to go to right mouse and work over to convert melody to new MIDI track, or to convert harmony. In fact, it's converting harmony because it's more chordal. I didn't think much for many years of Ableton's ability to convert to MIDI, Matter of fact, it was one of the reasons why I kind of moved away from Ableton and started to work more with Cubase and Studio Pro, or Studio One, once upon a time, now Studio Pro. Love both those programs, but I'm in a big Ableton bender at the moment and digging it. So anyway, didn't like it once before, like it now. I converted to melody, completely wrong, converted to harmony, and got exactly what I want. I've already done that, and that's it here. I'll play that now. Solo that one, and hit play. It's close enough to work from and close enough for Claude to build on. Cool. So that was where I've gotten to start with. Now, at the very start, what I'm going to do on this one, I could rename it myself very easily by going to right mouse or Command R and just rename it. But I don't want to do that at the moment because I want you to see how I'm working with Claude. Sometimes things happen slower than if I'm doing it by myself, and sometimes it's just more expedient to work with Claude. So I'll just tab across over to, oops, wrong one. Probably should have gone to copy that to start with. And we can see that we're on a harmony here. I'll go, that's the harmony track there. Now I'm going to put that into clip slot 0, or as we look at it, slot 1. So to start out with, a very basic message would be, hi, I'm back, whoops, back for a bit, also in caps lock, back for a bit. And let's catch up with some bookkeeping. So I'm going to go track 6. Track 6, can you change the name to Guitar Harmony? Just see what it comes up with. It might. And you can see that's changed to Guitar Harmony. I'll just change the color of that track so we can highlight it, Guitar Harmony. Normally, as I'm working in my sessions, I like to have certain colors for certain instruments. Now that's a guitar there. I should have actually said that to start out with. Oh yeah, track 5 can change to SB, that's me, a guitar. And it'll change that for us now. SB guitar, you can see that now. Now I'm going to ask it some questions that pertain to the OSC side of things more so than the MCP. Let's start with, Let's start with, oh, come on, man. Let's start with what you can see. Can you see clip slot index 0 track, what did I say it was? Track 6. Track 6. Yeah, it can. So you see how it actually, this is really nice. MIDI audio, beats 4 bars, MIDI track with harmony to MIDI instrument, rack loaded, only one clip on the track slot, 213 all empty, clips 213 all empty. Shall we rename the clip to something more meaningful and start building from there? And the answer to that is yes. Let's call it Git harm, full stop. And it's changed it to Git harm. Now, that's with MCP, it would not have been able to do that. It would have been able to see the clip, but we're asking it to go a little bit further now, and this is where it gets interesting. So, from the clip, can you infer Hammond organ sound and based on the music we have in Barry returns to Kilimanjaro. Can you suggest the type of patch from UAD Waterfall B3? Now this happens from time to time. It's actually asking me to go back into the terminal to make sure that it can get inside. Let's just do that to start with. Go into terminal. I probably already got one open. I don't. It's not terminal. Come on, baby. All right, I did have one open. You can see that here. So it's asking me to do this. This happens from time to time as you're working in OSC. So it could be a little bit of a buzzkill, but to me, I don't mind it. So I'm going to paste that in. It's asking me to hit an entry. I don't understand all the Python or what script they're using here all the time, but what I tend to do is follow the commands that Claude provides. There's the information that Claude's after. So that's MIDI data and information that Claude needs to make responses. I don't know why it's telling me I've used 90% of my, I'm on the paid version. This is coming up too frequently for my liking. Let's put that in. So paste back what comes and I'll analyze the harmonic content and give you a precise blah, blah, blah. Okay, whoops, didn't get it in there. Let's try it there, bang, and away we go. So it's just analyzing what's there. If you're following, I can presume you can read the screen as well. Very lush, slightly jazz influenced, harmonically dense waterfall. Okay. Patch recommend, given the harmonic richness in the world of Barry's skill, I'd point you towards first choice soulful hymn, the sustained voicings in the clip. Second choice soft backup, meditation. Avoid anything with fast Leslie or percussion on it, which is perfect. All right. So now what we haven't done is we don't have yet. I'll just take that away for the time being. We haven't got a Hammond organ track. So what I'm going to do is simply go. Can you add? I could again do this myself. Can you add a MIDI track? Matter of fact, I'm going to say, can you add 4 MIDI tracks? So what have we got? We've currently got up to 7, 8. So we'll put that down as 9, 10, 11, and 12. 9 through 12. With track 9 being Hammond. Or no, actually I'll call track 9 being B3. And these tracks should populate already named that B3. I'll change the color to color that I want for the Hammond organ. That didn't work because I was coming from the other screen. All right, done. 4 tracks created. What would you like? Tracks 10. I don't want them to be named at the moment, so just leave that. Now, track, what is it? Track 9. Can you create 4-bar Hammond sound to match the guitar harmony from track 6 slot or index 0. Let's see what we come up with here. So it's just going back over what I did earlier, and slow warm Cooper influence, that's going to be L Cooper, lots of space. You can see that the track has already been put in. Here's the voicing, left hand, C2 root, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4. I don't know why that's. I'm actually now locked out, but I've got the full version. I have to get onto them about that. But luckily, we got as far as I need to go today. We don't need to go any further. I will add another clip to this and continue on in this particular song that I'm working on. So at this stage, what we've got then is the recommendations, which are up here. And, or where did I see those? The recommendations from, where did he have them? Oh, yeah, from here. Soulful hymn, soft backup, meditation, anything, and avoid anything that's got a Leslie or percussive vibe to it. Fair enough, too. It's now put the content in. We can look at that. It's pretty simple. There's nothing too advanced in what we're doing at this point. It's really just playing the chords and just building on from what I had in the guitar. And it'll probably ape the guitar to some extent. At the moment, I don't know if the... in fact, that's on solo, so we're not going to hear it. I don't know if the register is right. Don't hear anything just yet. Pull that out there, and we'll put it in play in the right place as well. Quickly move over there, kill that, and go over to B3. That's where we want to be. Paste that in. Why did I not have any audio? Because I was on solo. Oh, I know why. The obvious reason I don't have any audio, of course, is the fact that I don't have an instrument in. And despite the OSC capability, that means the ability to integrate more deeply into a project, there are so many things still that this whole Claude interaction with Ableton cannot do. There's many things it can do, there's many things it can't do, and that's just going to be over time. I've got no problems. I'm not phased about that. It'll happen soon enough. Okay, so we wanted to get into UAD. I'll do an instrument, and I think it's no, it's not the first one. Waterfall, bang, bang, bang. I'm not aware of all the presets that I have in this particular instrument, so let's just look for and see. It said specifically to go to, where is it? Soulful hymn. Why don't I type that in? Soulful hymn. Far out. That's really groovy. Nice sound. Beautiful. I could play it here as well. Could play it here as well on another keyboard. Coming from everywhere. All right, so let's just leave that for the time. We'll go that that's what we're going to use. I think this is going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty plasticine. There's nothing special in what it's done here just at this stage. Nothing extra super special on that. That's fine. Let's work out where we are. Just bring the volume down. All good. I'd probably want those to be a little more legato. Let's just work out what we can do. Don't always like to drag the whole lot across. Let's just drag those over to there so we don't have that. We'll drag that across as well. I think we've got those there. Fair enough. And we'll drag. Just so that there's that sort of continual vibe. And we can drag those. I'll drag these out to the end of the Now, I was saying before about register. Appears to... What's the first chord again? It is the A flat. I've got C minor. You can see up here that I'm working in the key of C minor. So C, D, E, F, G. Yeah, maybe I want to be up higher. Let me just play that again. Fair enough. I'm comfortable enough with that at this stage because we're just building the song at this stage. What the exchanges that go back through my interaction with Claude, definitely Claude has helped build this drum track. Of course, I could have played it just by punching out a couple of notes on let's say push in this case. But what Claude did was come up with this beat per my instructions as to what I specifically wanted. And then it developed a conga beat, again per the requirements that I had. Again, I could have easily played that as well, as any of us who are working on Ableton can easily do. And I also got Claude in this case, after I had written the music, to develop this bass line written for, specifically I wanted an upright bass, and I've used an Ableton upright bass here. So that's the Chicago kit is an Ableton instrument, conga is an Ableton instrument, bass is an Ableton instrument, and the guitar is mine. And very briefly, that should be the A flat. So, you know, there are a million different ways I could play that. But you have to bear in mind that this whole song started, and we can play it from the intro. The intro and the verse are the same in this one, to give you an idea of how this all started. The very first thing that was played on this whole song, and there was nothing beyond it, was this guitar track here. How many times have you, me, or any of us done that kind of thing? You're at your desk or whatever, or in another room, whatever, and you just pick up a guitar. And I was waiting for something unrelated to the project, but just waiting for something to download. And I just picked up the guitar and I just simply went. With no intention, and just went down to the F and probably played it as badly as that. And somehow or other that resonated within me, and I just sort of, you know, like the penny drops kind of thing, oh, a moment of greatness or whatever. And and I very quickly worked out that I would change the F to an F for 2 beats and an F minor for 2 beats, and then turn it around and go back into the same thing. It all started from that. And we all of us have those moments that, you know, you have to start from something. Anyway, from that moment on, that's how I built up. I transferred that to MIDI. So the very same thing I just played then on guitar should be now here. Put the two of them together. And from that, with that information, because it was transferred to MIDI, Claude was then able to make decisions, and from that information, it could work through a bass line that was following direction from me. It was a bass line that I wanted, which in fact is this. Put the guitar together, we can hear the harmony. Now that was the very first bass line that Claude came up with, and because of changes that we've made now in the drums and in the conga, that bass line will change. And of course, I could also play the bass myself more than comfortably, and possibly will. But nonetheless, this is a really nice map or a template for me in terms of the instrumentation that I'm using to go, okay, well, I could use some of the ideas that have been generated from Claude. Put that whole verse section or introduction section together now with everything, bearing in mind that Claude has developed the drum track and developed the conga track. So you can hear the F minor there as well. It's going to be the E flat, C minor, and we should hear no, we don't hear it yet because it's not actually transferred across. The variation between the F and the F minor is actually still in the clips, the session view. I'll get around to that later. All right, I'm going to cut out of here. I need to sort of lose my temper at Sonne or whichever company puts out Claude and ask why have I paid money only to be told I can't use it. Not impressed with that. There's probably a reason, and some of you out there already know. Perhaps even when you pay for it, you're still limited to how many messages you can use. We'll find that out in just a moment. I'm out of here now. I am going to follow this up, so if you are interested in using Claude, you can follow the next video where I will go much further into just how deep the integration between Claude and Ableton can be. I'm going to sign off for now, so check you all later. Bye.